Yes, please start.
Thank you, sir. A very pleasant evening to all distinguished panelists and participants. Bharti Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management BVI CAM, in association with Computational Intelligence Society CIS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Computer Society CS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Technology and Engineering Management Society TEMS chapter of IEEE Delhi section, System Man and Cybernetics SMC Society chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Communication Society of IEEE Delhi section, Consultants Network Affinity CNA Group of IEEE Delhi section, Life Member Affinity LMA Group of IEEE Delhi section, Inter-Society Relations IRS Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, Industry Relation and Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, Site Standing Committees of IEEE Delhi section, Region 10 of IEEE, with the Associations of Computer Society of India, Institute of Information Technology Professionals, ISTE Delhi section, and IETE Delhi Center as technical collaborators welcomes you all to the IEEE IETE BVI CAM technical lecture series on AI in the green hydrogen ecosystem. With immense pride and honor, we are delighted to announce that we, with united hands, mark special contribution for the monumental occasion, Golden Jubilee celebrations of the IEEE Delhi section from 13th May 2025 to 12th May 2026, we mark 50 years of this vibrant and pioneering section, a journey that began in 1976 and has since shaped the technological and professional landscape of Northern India through innovation, collaboration, and learning. This webinar is an initiative to celebrate this legacy. According to Kathy Heckel, tech and gaming futurist and speaker. While AI and data may capture headlines for their role in transforming industries, green hydrogen is quietly emerging as a key player in the clean energy movement. With growing pressure to decarbonize heavy industries and transportation, green hydrogen, which is produced via electrolysis powered by renewables, has gained traction among both government and private investors. Green hydrogen is essential to achieve net zero across difficult to decarbonize sectors such as iron and steel, fertilizers, and other similar industries, indoor heating, and marine transport. Today's green hydrogen success hinges on policy support, business viability, process efficiency, and safety, areas where AI delivers significant values. From forecasting renewable supply and optimizing electrolyzer performance to managing storage, logistics, and demand, AI can help transform both core operations, production, distribution, field services, and non-core functions like bid management, trading, and compliance. In this session, we'll start with a warm-up on a few fundamentals of green hydrogen and dive into a few high-impact business use cases where AI accelerates deployment, reduces cost, and enhances resilience across the value chain. I would first take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished panelists for the day. We are privileged to have amongst us a galaxy of experts. I would first request Professor M.N. Huda sir, Director of Bharti Vidyapeeth's Institute of Computer Applications and Management BVI CAM and Chairperson IEEE Delhi section to address the participants with his inspiring words. Over to you, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, one and all. At the outset, I take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Harshit Dubey, the Principal Consultant, Energy and Utilities, Nagaru, for having accepted our invitation for being with all of us and making us to know that how and in which way artificial intelligence is going to be used and going to create an impact, rather a significant impact in green hydrogen ecosystem. Dear friends, green ecosystem and but in general and green hydrogen ecosystem in particular is the need of the hour. And you take any report, maybe from United Nations Development, maybe from the various agencies, various research groups for the purpose of green ecosystem, everyone is talking. Why everyone is talking? Because the life on this planet cannot be made effective unless we take care of the green hydro ecosystem. And this particular webinar where we are talking that artificial intelligence is to be used for that particular purpose, by default becomes more important. Dear friends, all of you know that this webinar series was started in the backdrop of COVID-19 in May 2020. And from May 2020, today, with consistency, we are maintaining, and today is the 184th episode of this webinar series, which is in form of a technical lecture from top-notch experts on variety of the topics related to the society, the technology, and in general, the knowledge dissemination purposes. In this entire journey, there have been many of my friends and very, very special friend, Mr. Ajay, who has been at the back end to help me to strengthen my process by inviting experts, by suggesting topics, and by arranging sessions with the experts. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajay. I also take this opportunity to express my thanks to all my valued participants who keep on waiting for these webinars and keep on joining from various parts of the country and abroad. Dear friends, the topic which has been kept today, which is the AI in green hydrogen ecosystem, is primarily because artificial intelligence has tremendous benefit that can enhance the efficacy of the processes, minimize the cost of the operations, and enhance the production rate. Recently, I was reading a report that Hydrogen Council, while releasing the report of 2024, reported that the green hydrogen production efficiency can be improved by 10 to 20% through the potential optimization of electrolyzers using artificial intelligence. My dear friends, in each and every walk of life, artificial intelligence is creating its impact by enhancing the efficiency, by reducing the human intervention for particularly the repetitive tasks, and so much so that green hydrogen ecosystem is not an exception. There are many applications, but out of those applications, primarily having advanced data analysis and system design optimizations are two such advanced applications of AI in hydrogen ecosystem that alone can transform the entire ecosystem. It is spoken that if system design optimization is being done in a proper way, then AI can optimize system design for green hydrogen production, taking into consideration the important factors like energy efficiency, cost, and scalability. Understanding this, we are convinced that by leveraging AI in many of these ways, the green hydrogen ecosystem can become more efficient, cost-effective, sustainable, and ultimately supporting the international goal of achieving the green ecosystem, sustainable ecosystem for all of us, and maybe within a shorter span of time if AI is being used effectively. For all these topics, for all these related areas of applications, we have invited today Mr. Harshit, who is going to enlighten us on this particular topic, make us to understand where we are and where we wanted to go, and how artificial intelligence for green hydrogen ecosystem can help us to realize that dream, and also the dream of the country that green hydrogen production capacity of the country should at least be 5 million metric tons per annum by 2030. So thank you so much for joining all of us. Many of the webinars have already been announced. Please join. To me, as a student of computer science in last almost 45 years, the important will be or the significant milestone will be that artificial intelligence should help me to download my tea and coffee with the help of the internet, sitting at any of the remote location. If that can happen, then only I will see that artificial intelligence is really making a change. Otherwise, artificial intelligence has certainly touched almost everyone in day-to-day life. And for my vision of the capability of downloading our tea and coffee through artificial intelligence can be realized with these two couplets came. ओ टेक्नोलॉजी के मुसाफिर तुम्हें अभी बहुत दूर जाना है ओ टेक्नोलॉजी के मुसाफिर तुम्हें अभी बहुत दूर जाना है पत्थरों पे गुलाब खिलाना है और आंधियों में चिराग जलाना है बिना पानी और बिना मिट्टी के खेती एग्रीकल्चर शुरू हो गई है अब हम पत्थर पे गुलाब खिलाना चाहते हैं और आंधियों में चिराग जलाना चाहते हैं थैंक यू सो मच विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल ओवर टू यू डॉक्टर रितिका
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the motivating words. With this, I welcome amongst us our expert speaker, Mr. Harshit Dubey, sir, with an e-bouquet. Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. And first of all, thanks to Ajay sir for providing me this
Sir,
opportunity.
I'll first introduce you and then I'll hand you
Sure,
over the session.
Fair enough. That is fine.
Harshit sir is a business leader with over 14 years of experience in the energy, manufacturing, and robotics domain, an ISB flagship MBA holder. He is currently working as a principal consultant within the energy and utilities domain at Nagarro. He has co-led and embedded practices to 3x growth and has driven multiple AI-led proposals for global energy clients. Before Nagarro, he worked for BHEL, where he led 40 plus gas turbine driven energy projects worth US $2.9 billion across India, the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. He has also supervised the hydrogen transition for US 300 million in assets across top 10 Indian refineries and has hands-on experience in scaling teams and building businesses from the ground up. Earlier, he served as CEO of a robotics startup, a role that ended in failure but brought valuable entrepreneurial lessons. Beyond work, Sir is a travel enthusiast and has visited all 28 Indian states. He has also mentored his wife to have completed the 2023 Ladakh full marathon held at an average altitude of 4,000 meters. We are honored to have you amongst us, sir, and I would now request you to kindly enlighten the house. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ritika Madam, for the kind words. And I would like to thank Ajay sir for providing me this opportunity at this forum. And I'll quickly go ahead and share the screen. Is my screen visible?
Sir, not yet.
Sure. I'm just starting to share. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Is the screen visible in full screen?
Yes, sir.
Right. So before starting my main point, I would like to take a leaf out of what the professor mentioned, that we have a finite life and we have a finite earth. And that is where I wanted to take a hook out of it and present a scenario, a future scenario for 2070. So I have a 6-year-old son right now who was born in 2018. And by the time of 2070, he would be 52 years old. And as the global scenario is evolving, what are few things he might be thinking at that point of time? So as a responsible citizen, he started decarbonizing early. He switched to electric vehicles. He installed solar panels at his homes, and most of his peers and community did the same. Yet, all of these activities could not stop the sea levels from rising. The global temperature still went up by 2 degrees Celsius. And that is one of the reasons that despite taking all of these efforts, my son is still standing where his legs are still submerged in water because the sea levels have risen enormously. And I wanted to present this dramatic picture here to emphasize the importance of the green energy, green hydrogen, and the subsequent aspects of AI that I would be talking here. So to go to the next point, what were the things that went wrong and what is aspects that we are presently ignoring? And the gentleman, that is my son here, who potentially ignored those aspects. So there are few sectors which are very difficult to decarbonize. So we can decarbonize the electricity that is coming to our homes. We can decarbonize the automotives that we are using within the local geographies. But then there are multiple sectors which are major carbon contributors, which cannot be decarbonized so easily with the conventional sources. And the leader amongst them is iron and steel production. We have oil refineries and a couple of sectors which I have mentioned here, along with fertilizer manufacturing, cement manufacturing, even paper manufacturing, and indoor industrial heating. So indoor industrial heating is an aspect which is more prominent in the colder countries, not per se in India. So these sectors are difficult to decarbonize with the conventional sources, and that is where we have, like, these sectors, if we have to talk about, they overall constitute about, on a, if I also want to be on a conservative side, these comprise around 20% of global CO2 emissions. But there are few sources which have mentioned that these global CO2 emissions comprised because of these sectors is in excess of 30%. And these sectors are extremely energy intensive and they lack scalable clean alternatives as on date today. So that is why I'll gradually transition towards the next slide, because we want to contextualize that if I'm talking about 20% of global CO2 emissions, what do they comprise of and how can I make a better sense out of it? So right now, if I have to contextualize it, it is more than the annual CO2 emissions of US and European Union combined. So largest CO2 contributor right now is China, but if we take US and EU, the ones among the top 5 as together, so the global 20% CO2 is much more than that. Then the second point is related to France, where if we take the overall country of France and we spread a thin layer of ice on top of it, and the thickness of this ice would be 55 feet, that would be around 15 to 20 meters. And the amount of heat that would melt this overall ice in the overall geography of France, so that is the amount of CO2 that comprises 20%. The next is, I take that is the overall Earth's population is around 7 billion. So if we take each person and fly them from New York to Tokyo once, so that is the amount of CO2 that is generated. And then the fourth part, that is, I would say, is relatively a sad part for our South Asia geography, where if we have to combine the annual emissions of the 100 most polluting cities, then that comprises 20%. And sadly, many of these cities are part of South Asia, where we have to take significant efforts to lower the pollution levels going ahead. So the sectors that I mentioned in the earlier slide, that is the iron and steel, fertilizer production, oil refineries, and a couple of few more. So as of now, green hydrogen remains the only scalable path which can decarbonize these sectors going ahead. So that is the context I intend to build in this presentation going ahead. So I wanted to start with this small hook, and I would begin my topic, that is the application of artificial intelligence in the green hydrogen ecosystem. And I'm working as a principal consultant at Nagarro, primarily for the energy and utilities sector. I'll quickly go to the next slide. So I thought, like, why not make this session slightly more interactive from my side, because we are working in a remote environment. So I thought we'll have a quick mental warm-up where I'll put 2 or 3 small quizzes going ahead, and the respective participants can put their answers in the chat, and I'll provide appropriate time for them to brainstorm and put their responses. And if anyone has to mention in the chat as well, feel free to add it. So I'll start with the first question, that what is the biggest resource for power or energy generation in India? And there are 3 options. First is coal, second is oil and gas, third is renewables, which includes hydro. So the participants can put their responses in the chat. I'll provide short 10 to 15 seconds here, and then I'll go ahead. So it's good to see a good amount of responses coming here. Very heartening to see this. 5 more seconds to go. Countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's start here. Yes, many of you have mentioned coal. And yes, coal is the correct response right now. And we can also build certain insights and context around this. That when we talk about India's total energy capacity, so it is around a technical number of around 440 gigawatt. So the coal capacity is 47%. The renewables recently have touched a figure of 50%. But there is a worrisome thing to discuss about, and we need to critically analyze this. That is on the demand side. We understand that the renewables are varying, they are fluctuating. So in the daytime, the peak daytime of summer, solars will be generated power. Solar will be generating power, but in the evening time, the night time, they won't. So sadly, as of now, if we have to look at the demand side, it is 72% of our electricity demand that is comprised by coal, and renewables, although it is on a rising trend, it is around 23%, which in fact needs to go above 50% on the demand side. So critical takeaway out of this slide is that I would like each one of us to remember is that it is the demand and not the capacity that is the true measure of India's current renewables landscape. Because if we have lights and fans running in our respective houses, so we can guesstimate that, okay, 72% of this energy has been generated from coal, and which is still on a higher side, and it needs to be brought at a lower end. So that is a critical takeaway out of this slide. I'll quickly go to the next question. So which of the following country is net carbon negative? That is, it absorbs more carbon than it emits. So I would provide the audience around 10 seconds to put their responses in the chat. They can put in the form of A, B, or C. We have 5 seconds more. Countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, go. Once again, thanks for providing the responses. The correct answer here is Bhutan, which is net carbon negative. And I would like to congratulate Suresh Mane, who I think provided the first correct response in this chat. Many, many thanks. And many other folks as well who have provided this response. So Bhutan is in our neighborhood, it is in our vicinity, and it is actually net carbon negative. And there are certain steps which Bhutan has taken which are unconventional. So one example here is like they have a national park at the north of Bhutan, and then there's one at the south of Bhutan. So they built an ecological pathway for both of these parts to interconnect so that the animals and the wildlife from both the sides can travel without any human intervention or disturbance by the industrialized environment. And as we know about Bhutan, typically in India, we monitor our economic growth with respect to GDP, that is gross domestic product. But in Bhutan, it is an aspect of gross national happiness, where apart from economic growth, they also evaluate that, okay, how are we progressing in terms of mental health, physical health, and the overall ecosystem around us. And yes, there are a few countries in the Nordics who, that is Sweden and others, who have said that by 2035, they would be net zero. And India has said that by 2070, we would be net zero. And China is around 2060. So let's see how fast and how speed up all of these nations can bring up to ensure that they meet the net zero emissions norms. So all of this information is essential because it helps to build a context that in the overall ecosystem, where does this green hydrogen come into picture and where we are faring, how we are faring within the overall energy ecosystem. And then I'll gradually shift towards the AI side, that is data centers. The next question is the global electricity consumption of all data centers in the world matches to the annual electricity consumption of which of the following country? There are only two options right now here, USA and Germany. I would request the audience to share their responses on chat, and I will provide them around 10 seconds. So once again, I'll try to explain this question once again, that if we accumulate the electricity consumption of all data centers around the world, they match the electricity consumption of which of the following country? Right. So 5 seconds more. Countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, go. And the correct response here is Germany. So as of now, if we have to talk about data centers, so they consume around 2% of the world's overall electricity. So typical in our earlier days, we used to mention that, okay, transport is a major contributor for electricity consumption. Industries are a major contributor. Then, but as of now, it is the data centers which is becoming a major contributor for electricity consumption. And this growth is on a double digit side, that is 15%, 16%. And as we talk about artificial intelligence, the amount of electricity consumption is on a much higher side. It is 10x of our general Google search. So as AI impetus grows, the amount of electricity consumption will grow enormously and exponentially going ahead. And the time will not be far when this electricity consumption of data centers would even match the consumption of USA going ahead. So that was a short warm-up exercise I just wanted to keep before the start of the formal session. I'll quickly go to the next topic, and I'll start with the core topic, that is AI in the green hydrogen ecosystem. So because the topic of green hydrogen is relatively niche, I wanted to build a small context around it, and then I would gradually deep dive into the aspects of AI and artificial intelligence within the green hydrogen landscape. So hydrogen is like a rainbow. It is defined based on the source of how the hydrogen is being generated. So there are multiple sources right now, but I've only added here the 3 main sources. So first is a green, gray or brown hydrogen. This is very much used in the oil refineries. Now, why it is used? Because there's a lot of talk around oil and gas right now, and we all know which are the countries which are talking about this. So when we procure crude oil from other countries, there are multiple impurities in it. So we have to purify the crude also, to say petrol or diesel. We have to remove some metallic constituents out of it, say like sulfur or phosphorus. And we need hydrogen. The oil refineries need hydrogen here to undergo a chemical reaction. That is, if there's sulfur, hydrogen will undergo a reaction. It will remove sulfur out of it by forming an H2S compound. And there are other such processes involved where hydrogen is used in refineries. But the concern here is that the source here is either methane or coal. So the carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide is generated as a byproduct out of it. That is why this becomes a dangerous phenomena and not so healthy for the environment that is here around us. That is what is mentioned as gray. And when we use coal, it is mentioned as brown hydrogen. So that is the only difference, that gray is for methane, that is natural gas, and brown is for the coal here. But all of these are dirty fuels. They generate carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, releases the emissions. The next one is blue hydrogen, where all fundamental processes remain the same. The only difference is that whatever carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide is generated, it is not let into the atmosphere. It is stored beneath the ground. It is stored in an environment where it doesn't come in contact with the air around us, so that the emissions and the respective and the subsequent heating of Earth does not happen. So that is the second part, that is blue hydrogen, where it is mentioned that we have carbon capture technologies. And third aspect is the green hydrogen, where the sources for generating hydrogen are completely green. They are completely taken from renewable sources, that is solar and wind. So we take energy out of it. We do electrolysis, that is where we separate hydrogen out of a water compound. So as we know, water comprises of H2O, where there are 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. So we remove hydrogen out of it and then use that hydrogen for further storage and distribution and used in the other processes downstream. So that is the major difference between the sources here when we talk about different hydrogen. There are more colors as well, where it's a pink hydrogen where we use nuclear as a source of energy to generate hydrogen. But to keep this slide simple, I've only kept 3 major sources right now. And as we go towards the next slide, where we have to understand the green hydrogen value chain, that how and where, when we generate a green hydrogen, how it will be finally used in which all processes and which all systems, and what are opportunities of business and value generation arise out of it. So on the leftmost, it is the production, where I added that it is the renewable sources from which the energy and the electricity is used for doing electrolysis, where we separate the hydrogen components, the hydrogen atoms out of water. Then this hydrogen is transported. It would be via liquefied form, or it would be via pipelines, and then it would be stored. There are some specific tankers, there are storage systems. There are also salt caverns, like we store in an underground facility where it is surrounded by salt. So these distribution mechanisms exist for green hydrogen. And then there's a final end use, where in smart cities, we can use it for industrial heating, indoor heating. And there's marine transport, because the container ships travel over long distances for a significant period of time. I cannot keep batteries there, because then the batteries will occupy a significant amount of weight, and there's a risk that, okay, if there's an untoward reaction that happens with the batteries far away from the land, how to manage that. So that is where, again, the usage of green hydrogen comes into picture. Then in the process industries, that is iron and steel, then fertilizers, where there's a major scope for usage of green hydrogen. And there's also an aspect of using green hydrogen for firing in the gas turbines, although it is more prevalent in the US, where the gas turbine and the gas is a major source for power generation. And then there's also component for fuel cell. Now, when we talk about using hydrogen in an automotives, so there are applications within the automotives, although there are not so much economical feasible as we compared to electric vehicles. So there it is not the hydrogen gas per se that undergoes a combustion. It is a process. There's a proton electric membrane where we extract hydrogen out of it, and then it is the actual electricity that is used for generating power within an automotive. And then there are aspects of system integration and service and safety consulting, because hydrogen is extremely volatile, extremely risky. So there has to be an aspect of safety consulting and safety environment built around this overall value chain and ecosystem. Quickly go to the next slide. So that was an aspect where I wanted to build up a context around green hydrogen. And then now I'll gradually go into the aspects of AI, that is artificial intelligence. So although green hydrogen promises immense potential, but this ecosystem's complexity demands immense intelligence. And then that is where artificial intelligence can accelerate the impact and the business value generation as well. So to make things slightly simpler, like if we talk about the green hydrogen ecosystem, we have 2 segments of operations here. One is non-core operations, and second is core operations. So within non-core operations, these are elements where we don't physically touch hydrogen, or we are not interact with it, hydrogen per se. It is more like we have remote customer support. We do financial modeling around, okay, then how much would be the cost of green hydrogen if I have to provide to a subsequent refinery or other systems. Sustainability reporting, that, okay, how much carbon emissions am I providing? What are scope 1, scope 2 emissions here? Then hiring. So these aspects are relatively common among other industries as well, and they can be directly implied even within the green hydrogen ecosystem, because there's not typical elements of niche with respect to hydrogen involved here. And then there are a few core operations which are directly linked to the production, transportation, and utilization of green hydrogen. These are very industry specific, and here we are actually, these use cases will directly result into some tangible benefits in the green hydrogen ecosystem. So this is a non-exhaustive list. There are multiple use cases we can build out of it, but to make things simpler, I've only kept few typical use cases. So what we'll go next is that we'll touch upon 3 use cases, that how AI can be used here to build more business benefit out of it, and why this use case is very much critical within the green hydrogen ecosystem. So first is a bid proposal management. Second is I'll talk about dynamic load balancing. I'll explain the elements in more detail when I come to the respective slide. And third one is on the early fire detection. So I'll go on to the first use case, that is bid management or proposal management, typical. So what happens here is like, okay, suppose IOCL wants to use green hydrogen in its ecosystem. It will circulate a tender or a bid document on its website asking for multiple companies, multiple energy companies to bid that, okay, I need green hydrogen. You provide me your technical competency, you provide me your commercial complexity, commercial value that you will provide. And then based on the responses that IOCL will get from the multiple energy companies, it will evaluate that, okay, it needs to provide contract to which particular organization. Now, when we talk about this bid management, so there would be typically a bid or a proposal manager would be a center point of contact, a central point of contact would be interacting with multiple departments. So just like in the colleges, we have mechanical department, electrical, instrumentation, electronics, and then we go further deep down into specifics. So like material science, then within the mechanical, there would be aeronautics, submarines, even within the computer science, there would be artificial intelligence. So if we take that scenario into an industry, so there would be multiple departments here as well. If I have to talk about, say, multiple departments here, it would be, say, for industry, it could be a gas turbine department, a steam turbine, boiler. So multiple such departments exist. So bid manager, what the respective person will do is it will extract the standard responses from old emails, past submissions, and then there's a major non-value adding task here that the bid proposal manager will request respective departments or respective functional owner to share their responses, including solutioning, costing, and this involves multiple follow-ups. We cannot ignore the fact here that the bid proposal manager will have to circulate an email, have to call multiple times. There are multiple follow-ups involved, which are in fact non-value adding tasks. Then the person would add risk dependencies, assumptions. The person will incorporate some creativity. And then there's a must process involved of reviewing the response from senior leadership. Then the response would be submitted, and if the bid is won, it's good. If not, then there would be a bit retrospective held that, okay, how can we incorporate, how can we win such bids going ahead later? Was there a fallacy in our solution that we provided, or was there a fallacy in our commercial? So if we replicate this scenario to a place where a person has to submit a research paper, and the person will have to do a thorough literature review, talk to multiple seniors, whether the details in the documents make sense or not. So that same effort, if you take it to a 20x or 30x time, is a effort that needs to be taken care by bid or proposal manager when submitting a bid for a respective expression of interest or a requirement given by industry. So what happens here, like what AI can implement here is that I've taken a to be state that what will happen if AI brings in here. So the person, the bid or proposal manager, will upload the bid requirement document to an in-house GenAI portal, or there's a co-pilot. They'll request for the responses, and the responses would be available in a short period of time. And yes, there would be certain amount of training that needs to be done for this GenAI portal so that it doesn't provide hallucinated responses or false responses. And then the bid proposal manager will proofread the document, edit the details, and then the subsequent last 3 steps still remains the same. But what happens here, a major part of non-value adding task is taken by the AI portal itself. And there are reports where it mentioned that up to 80% of the bid manager's time is lost in these 3 tasks. So imagine if a bid proposal manager takes 30 days to submit a bid here, and that is brought down to say 6 or 7 odd days. There is immense amount of human capital time that we are saving here with the intervention of AI. And why I've added this use case and why this is significant for adoption is like, as I mentioned a few seconds earlier, that up to 70% of BIT's team's time is lost in internal coordination and non-value adding tasks, which provides a major opportunity for optimization. In fact, going ahead, we might also see these being applied in the research paper evaluation and submission as well. And because green hydrogen is a mission critical part of an energy ecosystem, there are certain safety aspects involved with it. So at a first point of time, it is difficult to secure a senior leadership buy-in. So it is easier to get a senior leadership buy-in for a non-core process, that is on the HR side, employee upskilling, hiring, bid management. And whatever AI implementation, okay, we talk about Gen AI portals, co-pilots, chatbots, assistant, but all of them should only be applied post we develop a deep granular understanding of business process. Because if we don't go into the deep dive of the business process, we would not be able to ascertain whether we are able to get business benefits out of the AI application or not, or the AI would just end into a pilot stage for 2 or 3 months, and then the subsequent widespread implementation would not be there. So we'll see in a very short manner that, okay, once we have the AI implemented, it could be a Gen AI portal, it could be a chatbot, then how the overall process would look like in that case. The same bid a proposal manager who we talked about in the earlier slide will ask a question to the chatbot or to the Gen AI portal, then the AI will understand the question, comprehend the question, will find and learn from relevant answers. And yes, there are instances where the relevant answers are available in the internal portal, or it will also search the public information available on the internet. So in technical philosophy, we call this as a RAG process, that is retrieval, augmentation, generation, which helps to expedite such solutions going ahead, because we also leverage the public information available on internet. AI finds the responses, and then AI will provide the relevant responses to the bid proposal manager. And a typical time of say 7 to 10 days, where a person has to do multiple follow-ups, will be brought down to say just 1 or 2 hours with appropriate prompts provided by this bid proposal manager. The bid proposal manager gets the responses from the AI systems and the AI portal. And then, yes, there's a very important element of feedback loop, which refines AI's understanding and accuracy over time going ahead. And as the system improves, the time and the quality of response will also improve for the AI system going ahead. And few figures to quote here is that AI tools can actually accelerate the proposal creation by up to 80%. And there's a supporting Microsoft case study as well, which I have referenced here below. So imagine a bid proposal manager taking 20 days to submit a proposal, and that is shortened to say 3 or 4 days. There is immense amount of human capital time that is saved here. And earlier, if a bid manager could submit say 1 proposal, now the same bid manager can work on 3 or 4 proposals simultaneously. But one critical aspect to take care of is like business KPIs. What are the performance, how the performance has improved? There are 3 aspects which I mentioned here with respect to bid management. First is bid quality, where we need to check that how is the quality of response going ahead, and it will have some elements of subjectivity incorporated in it. Then is the bid turnaround time, that okay, earlier it was taking 30 days, now I'm able to submit a bid say 6 days, 7 days. So these KPIs, these numbers need to be monitored so that we can see that whether actually we are able to get business benefits out of it. Third is the bid win ratio. So despite implementing AI, if I'm unable to win bids, then there are business processes needs to be evaluated. A retrospective needs to be done. What is not going right? And that is where my earlier point that if we have a thorough understanding of business process, we'll know that if AI implementation is not going right, where is the fault? Where is the culprit? It will be easier to investigate and do a root cause analysis. So that is the first use case I wanted to talk about. Obviously, I'll take some Q&As at the end. I'll quickly jump to the second use case, that is dynamic load balancing for green hydrogen. So as we have learned and heard that for producing green hydrogen, it is the renewable sources that is used for generating the electricity. And one major problem we have with renewable sources are that it is volatile. There is high amount of uncertainty attached to it. And as of now, the cost for generating green hydrogen are on a higher side. So if we talk about the general philosophy that how this renewable energy is used as of now. So although we sitting in our homes, we pay a nominal price of around 8 rupees or 9 rupees per unit for electricity. So per unit, I mean that if you use an air conditioner for 1 hour in your respective rooms, the amount of energy that you will be getting out of it. But on the back side, there are multiple renewable sources and even the conventional sources as well who bid for providing the respective energy and at a respective price. So there's already an existing philosophy in our Indian marketplace as well, that is IEX, Indian Energy Exchange, the leader in it, where certain companies will bid in a day ahead market or a 15-minute forward market on a real time. So that, okay, I as a renewable energy supplier will bid for 10 megawatt for electricity. I'll supply at say 7 rupees of cost or 5 rupees of cost. So this philosophy is already existing, and so this is on the supply side where multiple renewable sources, multiple companies supplying renewable sources are there. And on the demand side, they can sell this power to energy exchange, who in turn will supply this power to state electricity boards and other places. And then we'll get the subsequent electricity at our homes. And then there are other processes where this excess power can be stored in batteries. And there are multiple other sources as well for the demand. But one right now, how this process is done is there's a lot of manual intervention involved, and then there are legacy automation systems. But going ahead, there will be an intervention of AI as well here. So right now, within this demand side, we don't consider the generation of hydrogen, the green hydrogen, but this is also one end use case that will come on the demand side, which I've just put on the right side. And there will be an element of AI, an AI optimization layer, and AI bot that will be used here, which will predict the price and demand, and it will route energy to the best use case so that the optimal utilization of the subsequent energy can be done. So for an example, if I talk about the peak daytime, that is peak noon time during summer, that is where the prices of solar are at its lowest. It could even be 1 rupee or 2 rupees per unit. So why not I use the solar, the low cost solar at that time to generate green hydrogen, and I can obviously store that green hydrogen. And when the evening time comes, whatever energy that I have generated and stored in say batteries, I use it for supplying to homes. And when there's a higher prices available, I as an independent power producer sell this power to the grid. So why this use case is important here is, as of now, if we think about this ecosystem in general, so on the demand side, we have one major source for storing excess renewable power, and that is batteries. But then there will be a capacity limit that will be hit here. And then we need to diversify the aspects of energy storage. And this is where the generation of green hydrogen will be extremely useful, that whenever the sources of energy, when the supply side is not getting a right appropriate price, they can use the same amount of energy for generating the green hydrogen. And this also addresses the biggest pain point in the green hydrogen value chain, that is the reducing the cost of producing green hydrogen, because that is the biggest main factor that is stopping the widespread adoption of green hydrogen as of now. So if you are able to generate green hydrogen at a lower cost, then will be extremely useful. And that is where this AI optimization layer, this overall ecosystem, will play a very big role going ahead. So this is the second use case that I wanted to touch upon. I'll quickly go to the third use case, and it is slightly different and atypical. So this touches the critical aspect of safety risk. So if you see the image on the right side, so it is a height of say 500 millimeter. If we see a propane flame, so propane is a constituent of say natural gas. So if we see a flame for propane and then we see a hydrogen flame. So in fact, the intensity of hydrogen flame is also the same as propane, but the concern is that the hydrogen flame is not visible to the naked eye. That is the biggest challenge we have. It will also have the same impact. It will also cause the same amount of, and in fact, much more amount of burns as compared to propane flame. But the challenge is it is colorless, odorless, and it is highly flammable. In fact, much more flammable than propane, but it is not visible to the naked eye. And that is where a different element of AI, that is edge AI, that comes into picture here. So typically, when we are talking about AI, we talk about generative AI, chatbots, co-pilots, but an edge AI is a completely different philosophy from all of this, where the overall analysis happens on the device itself. So when we talk about this generative AI, we input certain details and then it will fetch the data back to a server or say cloud, and then that is where the analysis happens. But in an edge AI system, all of this analysis will happen on the edge itself. And this is where this use case is significant, as I mentioned about the few of the criticalities with respect to hydrogen, which is colorless, odorless, and highly flammable. And this aspect touches the critical aspect of safety, which supersedes any business outcome. If there is a safety aspect involved, it is a major deterrent for taking green hydrogen forward. So this is a very critical use case. And as green hydrogen becomes more cost competitive, it will be transported over long distances, say like from Delhi to Jaipur, Delhi to say Kandla port or other ports from where it will be transported to a long distances. So it will go out of the traditional plant monitoring systems. So we have some plant monitoring systems in respect of SCADA and PLCs. So once it goes out of this ecosystem, it is necessary to have those edge AI devices at the respective point itself who can do the analysis, that whether there is a leak or whether there is an early fire available, and will take the preventive steps. So I'll quickly go to the next slide. That is the hydrogen ecosystem. So this is an element we have already touched upon. That is storage tanks, distribution pipelines, salt caverns where we'll have the hydrogen stored and transported over long distances. And then there's an edge AI processing for early fire detection. I'd like to mention the name of NVIDIA Jetson Orin here. Now, there was a time in 2008 and even around that time where NVIDIA was almost bankrupt. So we know it is a 4 trillion company, but there was also a time when it was going bankrupt, and it was a call. It was a decision it took that it will develop edge AI devices. At that point of time, it was NVIDIA Jetson Nano it talked about, and it will build an overall software ecosystem around it. And that was the starting point of our AI there. So I've touched upon this element of NVIDIA Jetson Orin, which is a more modified version of device which will there. So it will have element of UV detector mounted on top of it. Now, what cannot be seen by a naked eye can be seen by UV detector. So it will detect the elements of fire, early elements of fire. The overall analysis will be done within a fraction of seconds, and then the next action would be taken. And this next action would be transferred for alerts and notifications, where we'll activate the emergency shutdown systems, we'll trigger fire support systems. And the advantage of this edge AI systems is it can act and work in a non-network area or low network area as well, where we do not need to interact with cloud at say frequent instances. The only interaction involved will be in say every 15 minutes or 20 minutes, so that the connectivity is taken to a very low part. And these are the elements that why this use case is significant. These are the same pointers which I mentioned in the earlier slide. And this aspect of AI intervention touches the critical aspect of safety. So these were the 3 use cases I wanted to talk about. Now we are gradually venturing towards the end of my presentation. So I did touch upon the 3 use cases where we can use AI in the green hydrogen ecosystem. But what are the main challenges? So some of these challenges are very common for all across the industries. But then there is one critical reason for the energy, utilities, and oil and gas sector, that the data here for AI, we need data, and this data here is spread across multiple spreadsheets, legacy systems, and field devices, which needs to be integrated to one common platform so that we can build a more sense out of it. And second, I would like to touch upon that is the unclear ROI. And that is where we need to have a thorough understanding of business process and have a clear go ahead from the senior leadership as well. Because if I randomly start any AI project and if I'm not able to clearly evaluate the business benefits out of it, it will just be stopped at a pilot stage after say 2 months and 3 months. And then the adoption of this AI within the green hydrogen ecosystem will not happen. So these were some 2 or 3 pointers I wanted to touch upon within the main challenges. Now there are 3 or 4 key takeaways that I would like to mention here. That right now widespread of green hydrogen is inevitable. There's no question of whether it will happen or not. The question is when it will happen, whether it will happen today, 5 years down the line, or 10 years down the line. And the recent bid wins of IOCL and HPCL, where L&T Green Energy and Okeor Energy secured respective bids for green hydrogen, they substantiate that, okay, green hydrogen adoption has started. It's only a matter of time when this widespread adoption will happen. And as the adoption kicks up, AI use cases across the value chain will grow alongside because the business benefits are being ascertained. And as I mentioned, one more point that if a company has certain hiccups or concerns about adoption of AI, we need to start with non-core areas, which is not directly interacting with hydrogen, and then gradually go towards the go towards the core areas. And bid proposal management was one such example. And at any point of time, having a knowledge of domain will always supersede over tech, because the person will be able to bring about that what are the major pain points, what are the business benefits that we can bring out of here. And if those domain context is not brought about, AI implementation will definitely fail. It's a statement that I can confidently mention here. And if we keep domain context over tech, then we'll also be able to overcome a few of the challenges which I had mentioned in the earlier slide. And then I'll quickly go on to the last 2 slides that I have in the deck. There's one major takeaway here. So in 2025, we have seen a price discovery of $4.45 per kg for green hydrogen, because this is a major determinant. The cost of generating green hydrogen is a major determinant and major roadblock for its widespread adoption. And these are few of the numbers that have been projected that, okay, how the cost of green hydrogen would be over down the years. And this is an actual validated number, which we have seen in the recent bids in the Indian ecosystem. And this number can be confidently confirmed. And what I feel, although these numbers have been taken from multiple research papers, but I feel the curve will be much more steep. We might be able to see cost of green hydrogen dropping to even $1 by 2040. We did not have to wait till 2050. And this adoption is inevitable, and the adoption of AI will definitely come into this. And this is where India's opportunity comes into the picture, that India can significantly become a green hydrogen powerhouse, just as Middle East became with oil. And AI use cases can significantly accelerate the transition here, because they can optimize that, okay, where and all can we use green hydrogen and how best we can generate it at a lower cost. And the recent examples of L&T Green Energy and Okeor Energy within the Indian ecosystem, they have had recent wins within the past 2 months itself. And these wins substantiate that green hydrogen is no longer a bet. It is a breakout moment that green hydrogen adoption has started. Now the subsequent implementation of AI is destined to follow this path. This was a major takeaway I wanted to bring out of this, which includes a business and an opportunity for India as well. And quickly go to the last slide. So since I started this tech on an emotional note, where I had brought in my son in 2070, would be staring at, say, okay, the sea levels have risen. But I'd like to talk about a point where my son is 6 years old today, and he's mentioning a very key point here. What he's saying, I'll just reiterate his statement. Thank you for making clean energy for my future. I don't understand hydrogen or AI. It is out of my scope. But I know you're trying to make sure I can breathe clean air, I can see blue skies, and I can play without worry. And that means the world to me. So these emotional and these persuasive statements we must keep in our mind. We must hope to keep in mind the aspirations of our future generation and make our energy sources cleaner and greener, and AI implementation will play a significant role in expediting this transition. So that is where I'd like to end this. Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity for doing this presentation from my side.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful start and the wonderful end to this wonderful presentation. I'm sure this insightful session has enlightened the participants about the real scenario. And yes, there are certain questions by the participants, which I would now like to take up with your permission.
Sure. We can go ahead with the
Yes,
queries.
sir. So the first question we have, how do you decide upon the bid quality?
Right. It is subjective. It's a very good question. It is subjective. So when I'm taking responses from the AI for say first 8 or 10 bits out of it, I need to take a vetting from the subject matter expert in those respective departments that, okay, out of a scale of 10, how would you like to rate the quality out of it? Will it be 8, 6, 7? So once I take these data into consideration, feed into my AI model, then post say 10 or 15 bits, I would be able to accommodate for this bit quality based on the responses that I'm getting from the AI system. But obviously, the first vetting by subject matter experts and the human intervention is required to remove the subjectivity in the analysis.
Absolutely, sir. Sir, next question we have, integrating green hydrogen into India's power system will require a significant expansion of renewable energy capacity and grid management on a national scale. How
Correct.
far are we from this?
Right. It's a very good question. So I would not like to put my perception, but I would like to put the recent wins. So as of now, IOCL and HPCL both are major refineries of India, and they have won major bids. In fact, L&T Green Energy has won for IOCL, Nokia Energy has won for HPCL, where they would be supplying this green hydrogen to this ecosystem. And obviously, integrating with the grid is a secondary part. If the usage of green hydrogen increases, and obviously then aspects of integrating it with the grid, the real-time grid is an activity and as an aspect that can be taken into future. But what I'm trying to say is that the one major part of complexity that yes, I can get green hydrogen, I can use it within the ecosystem, is already demonstrated by the refineries. So the next steps will gradually happen as we go ahead in the coming years.
Absolutely. So last important question that we have, which technologies would you recommend in this upcoming AI-enabled green hydrogen economy? Which will be the technologies which would actually be taking center stage in realizing this kind of an economy?
Very good question. So the typical answers here would be say AWS, Azure, GPT-4, Llama, but I would keep all of them aside. I would like to sincerely request that if someone wants to implement AI in the energy ecosystem, they need to understand the overall value chain, the overall technology, that how hydrogen is generated, why green hydrogen, why not blue, why not gray. Then if I'm using green, how are the overall processes being utilized? What are the business benefits I'm getting out of it? What are the major challenges? So a deep granular understanding of business process within this ecosystem is very much necessary.
Absolutely.
And I can say this very confidently, any subsequent technologies will come next.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. We have come to an end to another wonderful session today, but this time I would say this is an eye-opener into the upcoming future and how it is good to know that we have already started work on decarbonizing to create a more scalable and human-friendly society for the upcoming future. So thank you so much, sir. But we'll not end this before we thank you for today. So I would now invite Professor M.N. Huda, sir, to kindly present Harshit, sir, with a certificate as a token of remembrance for today.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Wow, great. So thank you so much, Mr. Harshit. You have explained it nicely. And at this moment, many of the people who are not aware of green hydrogen ecosystem, maybe just getting an insight about it, but maybe around 4 or 5 years down the line, particularly by 2030, when the India's vision of achieving a green hydrogen production capacity of at least 5 million metric ton is being realized. This today's session will be remembered that we had this session and sensitize people that how in which way it is going to touch to each one of us, and how in which way it is important for us, because we must be in a position to leave enough resources in most economic way, most sustainable way for our future generation. Then this session will be remembered. And this certificate is not for the purpose of certification, rather for the purpose of remembrance for that day when India will touch the 5 million metric ton production, and then will be achieving its goals. So thank you so much being with all of us and having accepted our invitation.
Sir, I also request you to present the e-memento to sir.
And this e-memento is also the part of the same remembrance series. And Mr. Harshit, you might be noticing it that as part of when any of the function of the program is organized, whole lot of carbon footprints are being generated. But right from the basic invitation to the bouquet, the e-bouquet, and then to e-certificate, and then finally to e-memento is also part of that green hydrogen ecosystem, or the kind of sustainability to be generated and to contribute in that particular way. So very conscious decision to change this and make it completely electronic environment. So thank you so much. Again, part of the same remembrance that you have been part of this lovely session, 5 years ahead of the India's vision of achieving that target which India has set for itself.
Thank you, sir. And once again, thank you, Harshit, sir, for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
Dear, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just add one line here. Like,
Sure,
I'm
sir.
also deeply passionate about the energy sector within the Indian ecosystem. And I'll leave my LinkedIn profile link here. And any student, if they want to reach out to me, they can reach out via LinkedIn. I'll be happy to help and guide in my capacity going ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, dear participants, with this, we have come to an end to another wonderful session today. And this time, I would say on a very important technology, AI in the green hydrogen ecosystem. We thank Harshit sir once again for the wonderfully informative session that we have now. Sir has also shared his LinkedIn profile in the chat window, dear participants. So students and scholars who are interested in working in this domain and have an idea are most welcome to discuss it with sir and carry forward their work. So thank you, dear participants. I once again thank Harshit sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Dear participants, the feedback form link has already been shared in the chat window with all of you. We have already checked it and it's already working. Please click on the same and just fill in your details. Don't copy it or try do any other kind of fiddling with it. Just click on the same and fill in your details. Once you fill in your details and submit the same, your certificate shall be e-generated and mailed into your inbox within a matter of a few minutes. So after submitting the feedback form, please refresh your inbox. If you don't find it in your spam folder, please refresh your spam folder. And in case you still don't find your certificate, you're most welcome to share your email ID with all the panelists in the chat window. We are there to help you out with your certificate. However, around 30 certificates have already been successfully generated. So I hope that all the participants have got the feedback form link and have already started successfully generating their certificate. 5 certificates have already been successfully generated. I request other participants also kindly submit the feedback form with your details and then check your spam and inbox. First, check your inbox. In case you don't find it over there, please check your spam folder. If you find it in your spam folder, please do mark it as not spam. Organization name, dear participant, please fill in the organization name. You are